Hello and welcome to the Otaku Network podcast. My name is Steve.
And I'm David.
We are into week 10 of the 2024 summer anime season. So we're going to talk about episode 9 of Shoshimin and episode 10 of both Ramen Akaneko and My Deer Friend Nokotan. This week's episode of Shoshimin picks up directly after the end of the last episode, where Jogoro and Yuki are having dessert at the end of summer at the last place on their list. After they get the desserts, Jogoro begins to interrogate Yuki relating to her kidnapping and how much of it she knew. He lays out all of the evidence that he's figured out and all of the logical pathways that he's constructed to come to that conclusion. But she's doing everything to avoid responding to it and is trying to distract him from it as much as possible. After enough continuation on Jogoro's part, Yuki does finally relent and admits that he's right, but then begins to school him on what he was wrong about. In fact, it kind of comes out that Yuki was the mastermind of her own kidnapping. There was a girl that was part of Iwata's group who had also gone to middle school with both of them and had asked Yuki back then to help her get out of the group, which culminated into the original arrest for drug use for Iwata. Iwata herself had suspected that her downfall, not really downfall, but her arrest had come due to somebody inside of the group being a snitch, and had been working feverishly since she was able to get back together with everybody to figure out who it was. The girl who was the snitch is increasingly growing concerned about her own safety, and when coming to Yuki to ask her for help again doesn't work, she begins to become threatening towards Yuki. Yuki turns the situation around and begins to use the girl to construct a grander plan to provide safety for both of them that culminates in Yuki's kidnapping that she essentially formulated herself and fabricated the extortion portion of it with the help of the girl that was the insider to try to get Iwata locked away for a while at this point. Because the original offense that she had gotten in middle school just led to probation, and Iwata definitely did not learn her lesson. And that's roughly the episode. It's just a prolonged conversation between Jogoro and Yuki, discussing the entire situation of her being kidnapped, and the group of girls that are problematic.
Was that the girl that Kengo was
no.
trying? Okay.
Nope, different girl.
Okay.
I had wondered at first when she started talking about how there was an insider, if it may have been the girl that Kengo was trying to save.
Yeah.
But no, it was a different girl.
Okay.
I think this has been the best episode that the show has had so far. I really liked this. I think what we saw here was a long form payoff for, I would say, the entire earlier portion of the show. Like all 8 episodes beforehand really have culminated into this apex episode that I think we're going to see. So it said that the title said that this is part 1. So next episode is going to be part 2. And if my anime list is to be trusted, that'll be the final episode of the series. Yeah, I'm really excited for what the final episode is going to be like, if episode 10 really is the last one, because I really liked this episode.
Yeah.
Yuki bested Jogoro.
Yeah.
He partially figured out that the entire situation for the summer was all a long, drawn-out plot by Yuki that culminated into this kidnapping. Like she played a super long game with this entire scenario, and it just dawned on him after the situation just how much this may have played out over the course of the past month or two. Quite impressively so. Like he's smart and he's very observant, and I can't think of ways to talk about him intelligently in his abilities to connect unsuspecting data points together to make an intelligent whole picture. But Yuki definitely showed him in this event of, you're good at what you do, bro, but I think I'm a little bit better at doing things than you are.
I don't know if I would be friends with her after this.
I think he loves the fact that she showed him up. And so now he's like, oh, I mean, we were friends before, but I think this ingrains into him a deep level of respect for her abilities and her as a human being. And look, they're both twisted individuals.
They're just fucking weirdos. These two are very far from being Shoshimin.
Yuki had kind of said something about that too, and she's like, why are you even trying? Like, there's no point in this little facade we're trying to pass. Like, we're obviously better than that.
They're very arrogant.
We've known that Jogoro has been arrogant. Like, you could tell it right away.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big thing that had bothered him, is how people react to his arrogance from when he was a kid. When there was that first situation early on in the show when he was having that heart-to-heart conversation with Kengo about how he's changed. But now we know quite plainly that Yuki is vastly more manipulative than he is. And with that comes very arrogant as well. I think their friendship is due to their respect for each other's arrogance and manipulative natures.
I think they're insufferable people.
Well, they apparently don't have many friends.
I would definitely not want to be friends with them.
That's fair.
Those are the kind of people where I'm just like, ugh. Ugh.
No, I really like this episode. I thought this episode was a really good culmination of the story.
Yeah, it had a lot of like surprise.
Yeah, it was the relished. So you think this is what's happening, but in reality, it's far more than you could have realized.
Boom, wool gone.
And it did a good job with it, I feel. And I could see bits and pieces of how all the preceding stories, regardless of how mundane they were, that could be pieced together to lead up to this moment being believable within their personalities and their experiences. Like all of it.
It's hard for me to like this show.
It's okay. You didn't have to. Remember, the point of the podcast, or maybe not necessarily the point, but a underlying joy of doing this podcast with me is that the shows that you and I individually pick lean more towards a type of show that the other person may not normally enjoy. Because people don't want to necessarily listen to two people just glow up an episode every single week. You know? People enjoy discourse.
I really can't get past the like tranquilizer that these episodes are. It's like so slow.
Oh my God, I was so engaged this episode. I was like, oh, what's going on?
I don't know. An entire episode in one spot, you're just like, cool. It feels like a weird fucked up version of Days of Our Lives or something. Where like there's one set piece because they couldn't afford any other sets.
Except for that the exposition shots weren't different things. I really liked the effect of that they had in the beginning when he was starting to crack into her plot when she was out in the street. Like there was the part where he was talking about how every time she goes out, she always tries to dress differently than she normally is. Maybe we understand now a little bit is she understands that she may be in danger, and so she's trying to hide herself. And that day specifically, she went out of her way, obviously, to dress in a way that would make people who know her recognize her immediately.
Yeah.
Which explains why every single time we've run into her in previous episodes, she's always been in a disguise.
Like her weird star child.
Flower child. And I'm glad they brought that up too, because after last week's episode, I started to think about, wait. There was too much coincidence in the episode where Kengo was tailing Iwata's group that both Kengo and Yuki were at the same location. And Yuki had made plans with Jogoro to be in that same location too. And so when he talked to her about that, she's like, yeah, they didn't really get into it deeply. There was a lot of implication with that conversation part, but that was pretty much an entire plot. I wonder if Yuki had applied any level of manipulation that indirectly got Kengo involved as well.
Maybe.
I don't know.
We'll probably find out next episode.
Maybe, yeah. I'm really interested to see what next episode has in store, because it seems like it's going to be a continuation of this episode or this discourse and culmination of their relationship together.
I just wonder what kind of payoff we're going to get.
I think this episode already was part of the payoff.
Oh, disappointing.
Oh, I really liked it. I
will admit, I like flashy.
Can we say that Yuki is a kingpin?
She's 100% going to be like a Yakuza boss when she grows up.
No. That's beneath her. she's going to get herself into a position where she can control the Yakuza herself, where she can just manipulate them without having to deal with any of their bullshit.
What I'm getting at is she's going to be like this crime lord in Japan.
I don't know about crime lord. I'm pretty sure she'll be able to do everything above the board, but her manipulative ability and spreading influence over disparate groups could potentially become strong and threatening in a...
She'll take over Japan.
Yeah, she'll be the next prime minister or some shit.
Ramen Akaneko had some shit this week. The first segment of Ramen Akaneko focuses weirdly on the fact that Sasaki doesn't do dishes anymore because they hired Tamako, and that was like a whole segment of an episode. It ultimately led to the handyman Shirasaki coming in to enjoy some ramen because he like took an allergy pill and has a day off tomorrow so he can recover from being exposed to cats.
Yeah, it was the first time he's actually been in the business as a patron too.
Yeah. And actually before the title card, there was this whole like creepy scene where this girl realizes something about Hana, which we find out later after Shirasaki shows up that this is Hana's previous owner and that Hana was like a cat idol on YouTube, and she was like a pop sensation, and you're like, what?
Yeah, Hana through the urging of the woman who technically owned her was a successful YouTube personality and had like they were in the beginning they were panning across like their membership plaques, and I think one of them was like 1 million subscribers or something like that.
This ultimately leads to this like big emotional breakdown where Hana's like, I don't want to be an idol anymore because you changed yourself because of other people's comments, and I feel directly responsible for all this. And it's like, Jesus, this is heavy.
Her owner had gotten
severe plastic surgery.
Yeah, in response to negative comments from people on YouTube whenever she appeared in the videos along with Hana.
And Hana made a comment about how she doesn't recognize the person that her owner was anymore, and that's kind of why she left. And it starts to build and build and build. And Shirazaki?
No,
well, first he stands up to like, hey, chill.
Yeah, everybody starts to come to Hana's support because Hana is now an independent cat.
Yeah.
So there's no longer the whole like pet ownership thing going on with her.
Right. And her previous owner keeps pushing and pushing and pushing, and finally a rather Elvis-esque patron stands up and reveals herself to be
the one lawyer,
the female partner lawyer to the female partner to Miki-san,
the cat.
The cat lover.
Cat lover, yeah.
And she intervenes after removing her very embarrassing disguise.
She's dressed up as a greaser.
Yeah, she's dressed up as a greaser.
The big old pompadour wig, we find out.
And she ends up escorting Hana's previous owner outside and has a talk with her about how, like, Hana's an independent cat now. You can't force her to do anything. And Hana then goes outside and they have a big long talk. But to break up the, like, heaviness of the episode, I love that they threw in Sabu putting that wig on.
Oh
and
my
just
god,
like,
yes.
We in your
yeah,
I fucking lost it.
I was amazed at the interaction between Hana and the woman who had been her owner.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was this very open, very emotional exchange in the middle of the restaurant, and everybody's just sitting there like they don't know what to do. I'm surprised that...
It did look like some of the female customers were starting to cry.
I'm surprised that Bunzo, because Bunzo is very prone to like step in and just squash stuff right away. I'm surprised that Bunzo just stood there in silence.
Yeah.
And then it led to Shirasaki stepping up, and then the lawyer woman finally stepping up and going, look, this is not a conversation that's going to happen here. You and I need to talk. I'm on retainer for this store.
Yeah.
Can we just talk about the fact that Ramen Akaneko has some pretty damn good lawyers?
Yes.
Like,
yes,
this is what, the third time there's been immediate intervention from a law professional?
Some businesses would kill for this great of legal representation.
Sasaki has to have so much money to his name.
Yeah.
To just have two lawyers that are like kind of always around when they need them.
And like hanging out.
Yeah, like all the time.
Well, in the female lawyer's case,
Well, she's a psycho.
she just fucking loves the cats.
She is. Yeah.
She is like ridiculously psychotic about these cats.
The fact that she had to dress up as some greaser dude with a pompadour.
Just to eat the ramen.
Yeah, because she felt that it wouldn't be prudent for her to show up as herself. A strange woman. But we knew she was a strange woman from the first introduction of her.
Such a fucking weirdo. But then the rest of the episode is basically Hana reconciles with her owner, decides to stay working at Ramen Akaneko, doesn't want to become a pop sensation again.
Yeah.
Much to Krishna's like joy.
Yeah, Hana has a family at the restaurant.
Yeah, and she doesn't want to give up on it. And then we find out that Tamako like looked into Hana's past.
Yeah.
Which was funny to get a second title or a credit sequence.
I looked at the time for when Daily Akaneko showed up. I'm like, there are 4 minutes left on Tamako watching one of Hana's videos on YouTube. I'm like, oh my God.
We got a whole like music video.
We did, yeah. It was like a minute and a half or something like that.
That was a pretty catchy song though.
I'm not gonna lie, I did not watch it.
It was pretty
like
catchy.
I just kind of fast forwarded, like, it's okay, there's nothing, that's all there is.
It was pretty catchy. No, it was a really good episode this week.
This was a great episode.
I feel like we've been saying that consistently about Ramen Akaneko.
The beginning sequence where they're doing the panning thing in the one woman's room. I'm like, wait a minute. Wait, is this? At first I thought it was Sabu.
Yeah, I thought Sabu was like some really successful streamer all of a sudden.
Like, and then I'm like, oh no, wait a minute. No, and it's like, oh, is this Hana? Are we gonna get a Hana story? And then they showed the woman. I'm like, oh, I guess it's not Hana. And then she sees Hana because she had seen the image from the guy who had busted in a couple episodes ago and was filming before they shut him off. And she's like, oh my God, that's my cat. What would she call PP?
Yeah, love PP.
So in a way, I was right. It really was an entire episode about Hana.
It was.
But we've kind of needed that because we haven't really gotten a lot of her backstory.
Right. And now we finally did.
Now we just need to get Sabu's backstory.
Who's a trash cat.
Yeah, but we don't know anything about that. That's literally all we know.
We also need Tamako.
We do need Tamako's story.
Because we have Krishna.
Yep.
She was a sad baby
Yes.
at the zoo that Sasaki saved.
Yes.
We got Sasaki pudding. We also need to find out what Bunzo's fucking cute name is.
We do know quite a bit about Bunzo though too.
I just want to know what his cute name is. And now we have Hana.
Yeah, Hana's story was very well
written.
Yeah, well done. It was really good.
I felt heartstrings being tugged throughout that whole scene where she's just like, this, and this. I hated it. This, and this. I hated it. This. I hate, like the emphasis. Like she would say a series of things and then punctuating it with, I hated it.
Yeah.
And the voice actress was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
She put her all into a fucking anime about cats.
Professionals got to be professional. Yeah.
I know, but it was amazing.
Okay, the woman who does Pikachu.
Yes.
Think of the effort she's put into that role since day one.
Fair. But what I'm trying to say is she put her heart and soul into this fun anime about cats.
Yeah.
And made at least me feel something.
Feel emotional? Yeah.
I was like, oh damn. This is fucking sad. But then we immediately got the comedic relief of
him wearing the wig. And then there was the Daily Akaneko at the end dealing with that part where he's like, your head is really small. And she's like, what? She's like, the wig is kind of small, isn't it? She's like, I don't know how to feel about you saying I have a small head.
I didn't get the part about the Akaneko where they're all surrounding Sabu.
I didn't get that either.
And they're saying thank you to him?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't get that
And then he's panicking? I'm like...
Maybe it was in relation to him breaking the tension.
Oh, maybe.
Could have been. But yeah, I was confused by that one too. I didn't understand that one.
It could have been because I know the customers started laughing.
Yeah, everybody...
As soon as he like was swinging his head around with the
with the pompadour on.
With the pompadour on. So I think it probably had to do with that.
Because that tension was palpable. And then like the lawyer and the woman left. And then everybody's kind of frozen. And then he's like, huh, what's this? And then starts jiggling it around. And everybody's like, oh my God, what the hell, cat?
That's adorable. It's like when something bad happens at home and then one of your cats becomes like stupid for no reason.
Yep.
And you're just like,
why'd you run into the door, dumbass?
That's adorable, though.
Great episode.
All in all, fantastic episode.
Great episode.
I feel like the last
the
several episodes stay super duper consistent.
Yes.
And then throw in that little extra that
Yeah.
makes it feel better every time.
Well, we've got 2 episodes left.
Right. I hope we can consistently keep saying that was a fantastic episode and it's probably the best so far.
Yeah.
Because that's what we've said for the last at least 5 weeks is consistent episode that was better than the last one.
The show's been really good.
It's really good for a cat or a anime about cats running a ramen store.
I think if the show didn't take itself as seriously as it does, it wouldn't be as good.
Right.
If this was just some goofy comedy thing, it would not be as enjoyable. But it's a serious show.
It's super serious. Yeah.
There's funny moments, but it's really just a story about all of these cats who are humans, honestly.
Yeah.
They have human personalities and how their relationships with each other work.
Yeah.
But
The show works.
But you just have this really believably built world where cats can become independent and interact in human society as if they were parallel to human beings.
Yeah. I love this show.
It's a good show.
And I feel like the shortcomings with like the animation style can be super overlooked by the level of content that we've been delivered.
Yeah. The writing is really good. And the writing has everything to do with the original source material.
If we were to compare this to another working class anime that we've covered.
What anime is that?
Seiyu Radio.
Oh.
This show is a million times better.
Seiyu Radio was a melodrama.
I know it was. But I feel like, and like we even said last week, this show is even more consistent than like Astronaut.
It is, yeah.
And we praised Astronaut.
Astronaut was really fun. It was a
really
great show.
I feel like Astronaut and this show, although covering very different topics, are both, in my opinion, like god tier anime. These are animes that these 2 animes are animes that I would recommend to people.
Yeah.
If they were like asking me for a show to watch. I
would recommend this. Like it's a show about cats who run a ramen restaurant, but it's serious. It's a well-written workplace story.
This is definitely, it has entered my recommend tier, especially for people that are trying to branch out of just like maybe a single genre of anime that they watch.
So what this has in the recommendation category that Astronaut does not have is this is a show that can be easily approached by people who are not familiar with the medium of anime and the tropes that it presents. This is something that a non-anime fan can watch and not feel weird about watching it and maybe become invested in it.
Yes.
Astronaut requires involvement in anime to enjoy because of how fucking weird it is.
Yeah. I think the only way this show could get better as a recommendation for people that have zero experience with anime is if it also had an English dub.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
Like, I'm not saying it's necessary.
No, but it helps.
But it helps as an introduction.
A lot of people don't like reading shows.
Right. And I feel like if this show could get an English dub, this would be like my go-to recommendation for people that have never watched anime before.
Speaking of a show that is not primed for newcomers to the format of Japanese animation, we have this week's episode of My Deer Friend Nokotan. Spring has sprung. The cherry blossom trees are flowering in full force. And
fucking everybody's allergic to them.
And Koshtan comes to the Deer Club room to find a maiden in distress as Nokotan is standing forlornly in front of the window with tears in her eyes, only to find out that she's got a pollen allergy. Even though
a really severe pollen allergy.
Yeah, even though she outright denies the fact that she has an allergy, of which We get a number of segments where the announcer lists the multiple stages of what allergies represent to people in normal contexts. First one being the denial stage. So we have a lot of ridiculous back and forth about Nokotan refusing to admit that she's allergic to pollen. Then she gets to the point of acceptance and then anger, and she decides to wage all-out war against all of the cedar trees within Japan and recruits Neko Yamada into the cause, because Neko Yamada, who is spying on the Deer Club as always, is also a sufferer of the allergies for spring.
Love it how it turned into it's like Gundam.
Yeah, it kind of looked like Char's revenge as Nokotan was giving his speech.
Also, I love that Nokotan has a weapons cache.
Yeah, she's got a selection of antlers that
Or grenade antlers.
Yeah, that thermonuclear antlers. I forget how this whole segment ended. It just ended, didn't it? Oh no, they ended up Neko Yamada and Nokotan ended up being examined by a vet, even though Neko Yamada is not a cat. And Koshtan sneezed, and the receptionist is like, "Oh, you can go into the examination room now too." And the announcer's like, "Everybody that says they've never been allergic, at some point you're going to be allergic to something." So after the whole allergy thing kind of fades into the background, we get a scene where Koshtan is wondering where Nokotan is. She gets concerned that the deer is not slaking at the club, in the context of the club could be shut down if the deer is not a part of it. So she decides, after a week of Nokotan being absent, to see if she has somehow wandered into a different club room, of which she has. She has suddenly become a guest lecturer for the flower arrangement club, where she's kind of made up to look like an esteemed Japanese gentleman. The Japanese equivalent of the stuffy British aristocrat, like harumph, that kind of personality. And the woman who heads the flower arranging club has convinced herself that Nokotan is this master of flower arrangement and has wants her to imbue her godly wisdom upon the girls who are the members of the club. As is expected, everything is deer related. Nokotan speaks in platitudes and just ridiculousness and obvious just stupidity, but everybody is so blind as normal to know. The only person who is not, no, there are 3 characters in the show who are not under the
spell of Nokotan.
The spell of Nokotan. Koshtan, Anko, and
Bashime?
No, Bashime wants to be a deer. No, there are just 2 characters. I think for a second I thought about Neko Yamada and then realized that Neko Yamada has been brainwashed more than once by Nokotan.
Yeah.
So it's really Koshtan and Anko. Anko is immune to Nokotan because she hates her as a rival for... Well, no. There was the one segment where Anko too fell prey to Nokotan. In the episode, was it episode 3, where they had the quiz show contest?
That's because she directly saved her sister.
Fair. She did not fall prey to the 100 years of deer.
I think on average, Anko and Koshtan are both immune to Nokotan.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyways,
it's a sister thing.
The advisor for the Ikebana Club and the members are just eating up every bullshit thing that Nokotan is saying. And
especially her really shitty guitar solo.
Highlighting the, in my opinion, perceived pointlessness of art historians. So Nokotan does a flower arrangement where she just pulls the top of her head off, shoves 2 antlers into it, and then sprinkles crushed up deer crackers on it, and then talks about what its meaning is. And everybody is like, "That's amazing. This is the most wondrous thing ever." The whole thing is ridiculous. It's your standard Nokotan.
I like when she gets bored and starts taking everything off. Did you notice that the mustache flies at Mach Jesus past Koshtan?
Yes. So at this point, and this is the first time we've seen it, Nokotan gets bored with her ability to manipulate the frothing masses.
Yeah.
And just tells them, all right, I'm done here. This is dumb. I'm just going to leave, and rejoins the Deer Club, saving it from cancellation. And then up until this point, I'm like, wait, are they going to do it? Are they not going to do Bashime doing the rice patty?
And then we got the rice patty.
The final segment is Bashime with Nokotan's weird antler being setting up the rice patty while Anko watches.
And makes onigiri.
Bashime had some rice in the rice cooker as always, and it went off, and Anko's like, oh, the rice is done. Oh, those two are working really hard planting that field. And she makes them onigiri, and
she made Bashime onigiri and herself.
Oh, yeah.
She fed chalk to...
The antler being eats chalk, that's right.
Which makes sense because antlers are made of calcium.
Math checks out.
It fits. The science checks out.
So
weirdly in an anime that shouldn't make sense.
So while I would have enjoyed it if it would have just been a Rickroll for us to not get the rice patty, the rice patty thing was a fun, cute little segment that they did as a aside, essentially, at the end of the episode.
I liked that Anko and Bashime bonded.
Yeah, they did. It was pretty good.
It was adorable. Yep. Made me happy.
It was a good episode. It was ridiculous.
It was really ridiculous.
It was
pretty funny.
The allergy thing was so stupid.
It was so funny.
It was like, oh my God.
I loved Nokotan rinsing out her antlers.
Yes.
That was probably the part where we both started just losing it.
The flower arranging one was uncomfortable at times.
It was ridiculous.
With Nokotan's behavior.
I loved how Koshtan was just like
watching.
What the fuck is going on?
Koshtan was at the entrance to the room watching everything, and nobody knew she was there. And Koshtan was kind of co-narrating the ridiculousness of what was happening in the room. And the fact that Nokotan's just like, oh yeah, I'm bored now. I'm not amused by this anymore. I think reinforces the idea that she is the trickster deer god.
Yeah.
She knows what she's doing and why she's doing it.
It's going to be a big reveal on episode 12.
Maybe.
I already see it now.
We got 2 more episodes left. So the sky's the limit as to what this show can pull out of its ass.
Chaos gods.
It was a good week.
It was a very good week.
Shoshimin, I think this episode of Shoshimin is the strongest that they've had. And it was a really good follow-up in the past 3 episodes that have just been this continuing, more invested problem.
Yeah. It's a story arc.
Yeah. If next week is the final episode, I'm really interested to see how it's going to culminate this series. To me, and I may be trying to read too much into it, but I feel that this episode itself was a lot of that culmination already.
Yeah, I can feel that.
Yeah, it was good.
Very good.
Ramen Akaneko was great.
Solid as always.
Really good story that I don't know if we've had an episode previously that really, it did have asides to it, but it really just did focus on Hana.
Yeah.
I don't think we've had an episode that did that much zeroing in on a single character through its course.
Right. And especially because 2 of the segments literally transitioned into each other.
Yeah.
Without any time skip whatsoever.
Pretty much, yeah.
Kind of caught me off guard a little bit. I wasn't anticipating that.
It was good.
Very good.
I really liked it. Nokotan was good. This was a good episode. It's made up for some of the downturn we've had in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
We'll see what the rest of the show brings. So we're almost done.
I know this season went really fast.
It kind of did. We need to
look at
the fall now. So with the fall, we're gonna do the same episodes where I pick one, David picks one, we agree on a third. But we're gonna do a parallel series because it wouldn't fit within the constraints that I've manufactured for this series. So the main body of the podcast, all the shows have to be new. They can't be like us picking up a season out of a show that just exists already. Mm. So an important anime for my early years of anime fandom is being rebooted in October, which is Ranma 1/2. And I've shown you 2, 3, maybe 4 episodes of Ranma 1/2 a long time ago. So we're going to do a secondary series that'll come out probably weekly, depending, where we discuss the episodes of Ranma for the remake. The viewpoint of me, who has watched uncountable hours of the Ranma franchise versus David, who knows very little about it. He knows the basic premise of what Ranma entitles. Where
Said it.
the fall and probably the winter, because something tells me Ranma is going to be 2 core, will mean a lot more editing work for me, but that's fine.
Yay.
Anything else?
Not that I can think of.
All right. Well, thanks again for listening. 2 more weeks. Although if Shoshimin ends next week, the last week will just be Ramen Akaneko and Nokotan, and then we'll be right into the fall. Otherwise, yeah. Like, subscribe, leave comments. Come join our Discord. Find us in various social media and other online places. All right. Thanks again.
Steve and Dave out.